Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is the Leo full moon and it is a bit intense. I should have really uploaded this video a couple of days ago because I started feeling the energy a few days ago, but better late than never. So I do these full moon videos because in the past, I was in a situation where I made a very poor judgment call during a full moon. And I realized, like, if I would have paid attention to what sign the moon was in, I would have been able to kind of predict the energy that was coming my way, and I would have been able to make a better decision. So now I like to do these full moon readings so that, I can tell you the energy that's coming and to kind of warn you of what to do and what not to do so you don't ruin your own life like I did in the past. Because I'm telling you, it was like one full moon where I was like taking a break from astrology. I was like, I'm not paying attention to astrology this month. I'm just gonna just live freely this month. I'm taking a break. And something crazy happened. And I did not respond to it well. I really didn't. And then when I looked back, like the next month, I looked back and I realized, oh my God, that happened during this full moon and I literally could have avoided that. So yeah, we're paying attention to the full moon from now on, not to input fear into our hearts, but just to take the proper precautions, because that's what astrology can be used for, just to give you a heads up of the energy that's coming. It's not meant to induce fear though. So anyway, I'm rambling. So I wanted to give you a quick list of things to not do during this Leo full moon. And then I wanted to talk about some wounds that might be coming to the surface, because full moons also bring wounding to the surface in order for you to, shine a spotlight on it and to help you heal. Okay, so first, I'm going to give you a list of things not to do in regards to an ex or someone who you're no contact with, someone who you have broken up with that you may have a emotional attachment to still. I'm going to give you some things not to do in regards to that person, because full moons, especially a full moon in Leo, with Leo ruling the heart chakra, things from the past, like romantic feelings from the past can come back up. Wounds about past romantic partners can come back up. So yeah, we're going to do a list of what not to do. If you are going through a breakup, you're still attached to an ex, you're no contact with somebody. Here's a list of things not to do. 1, do not reach out to them impulsively. And yes, that includes checking their social media. That counts as reaching out. 2, don't argue with them or express negative emotions towards them, especially publicly on social media. 3, don't try to rekindle the relationship without some serious self-reflection, because again, you could feel like this impulsive urge to go and try to re-spark an old flame. Next, I don't know which number I'm on, but next, don't act out of jealousy or don't try to make them jealous. And some of you might be thinking, what's the reasoning behind this? Like, I'm sure you can understand the don't act out of jealousy thing. Like, if you feel jealous about something that you've seen of theirs, don't confront them about it. Like, that makes sense. But you might be thinking, well, why the try not to make them jealous? Like, what's the point of that? Well, basically, during a Leo full moon, it can be very easy for your pride or your ego to feel wounded. So like, if you have an ex that maybe they left you in a really harsh way, or maybe they left you for someone else, or they just hurt your pride or your ego really badly, it could be tempting during this full moon to post something to make them jealous, like posting your new relationship, kind of flaunting it in their face, things of that sort. And you could feel like, it's justified, like it's warranted, like I'm with someone new, like I'm going to show off, I'm going to show off this new person that I'm with because I want to show this old person that, they may not have valued me, but here I am, I'm still valuable. And there's nothing terribly wrong with that. But what I will say is that sometimes that can keep you stuck in an ego trap or like an ego loop, where now it's like you're kind of depending on their reaction to soothe your ego. Like you're depending on them being angry or jealous or upset at what they see to soothe your ego. And that can kind of make you fall into a trap. So you could like post your new partner and then you could go to your ex's profile and like see like, oh my God, like, are they upset about it? Are they posting something about it on social media? Are they subtweeting me? Like, it's like your ego can't just post the picture. Your ego also wants to know how that other person is responding to it. So it can send you into like a trap of going to look at their social media to see if they feel jealous about it, to see if they, have subtweeted you. And when they don't respond the way that you would have wanted, like let's say that they just don't say anything about it, it could be an ego hit, that it's like, wow, like I posted this new relationship, or like I posted I'm doing so well and they still didn't care. This could even be something where like maybe you're still friends with your ex and you try to tell them like, yeah, I went out on a date, and you're hoping that it'll make them jealous and hoping it'll get a reaction from them. And then if they're just kind of like, oh well, good for you, it'll be an ego hit, because it'll be like, oh my god, they don't even care that I'm dating. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling, but trying to make them jealous, it can just put you into like an ego spiral. That's the reason why it's not recommended, especially because when it comes to your healing and moving on, the last thing you want to do is for your healing or your moving on to be contingent upon whether or not they're jealous or whether or not they are still wanting you, because that can be dangerous in itself. Having your emotional well-being be relying on them and relying on how they are responding to you. Okay, so next, don't seek closure from them if they've already made it clear that they are too emotionally immature or too dishonest to give it to you. So if you know that your ex is a liar, a straight up liar, and you know they're too emotionally immature to ever take accountability for anything, you know that they lack empathy, you know that they're narcissistic, yeah, don't even attempt to get closure from them this full moon, because they're not going to give it to you. They're just going to lie, or they're just going to just be the same person, the same narcissistic person they've always been. They're going to have a lack of empathy. They're going to just, don't try to get any closure from them this full moon. Just don't do it, or ever, because clearly they're not equipped to do that. Now, though, that's a list of things I say to avoid in terms of your ex. If you read this list or you hear this list and you're like, oh my God, I already did like 3 things on this list, don't worry. Don't panic. It happens to the best of us. Just use it as, a learning experience. Dust yourself off and keep on going. Just use it as like kind of like shining the spotlight on an area of your life that you still are needing to heal, or like a wound that you still might be carrying that needs to heal, because full moons, that's what they do. They bring your subconscious wounds to the surface. So if you find yourself acting out of character or doing certain things that you're not proud of, that is a way of the full moon shining the spotlight, like, hey, this area within you still needs to be healed. So instead of being ashamed of the actions that you took, just go ahead and see it as like, okay, that's where I still need to do some work. That's where I still need to work on myself internally. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and don't worry, because I've done one of these on this list, if it makes you feel better. Like one, I'm not going to say which one, but I've done one of these on this list, and I wasn't feeling too great about it afterwards, but I was just like, you know what? Dust yourself off, keep it moving. It happens to the best of us. Just use it as a learning experience. It showed you a part of yourself that still is triggered, and that part of yourself is the part that needs a lot of love, right? So that is the don'ts for this full moon in regards to exes or breakups. So in general, like outside of exes or breakups and things like that, I would say that another thing I would avoid this full moon is just doing anything impulsively, because Leo can be very impulsive energy. It can be very like, I want this, I'm going to act on it. It's a fire sign, and then it's a fixed fire sign at that. So it's like when you're fixating on something, you're like, I need to do it, or I need to have it. And you impulsively go towards it without really thinking about it. And that's something that you need to avoid doing during this full moon. That could apply to a bunch of different areas of your life. Like that could mean romantic, jumping into a new relationship quickly, or like, again, reaching out to your ex really impulsively, going to see your ex impulsively, like all of that, right? It could have to do with finances as well, like impulsively, spending a lot of money. Or it could be anything. Just try not to be impulsive during this full moon. Also, Leo is the sign that rules pride and ego. So just be careful, like when you feel like your ego's hurt or your pride is hurt, be careful of the action that you might take as a result. Because anything that you do from a place of pride or ego, a lot of the times you will end up regretting it. So it's better to come from just humble yourself a bit during this Leo full moon. Just humble yourself a bit, practice some humility, and it'll go better for you. It'll work out better in your favor. And I'm trying to think of like a good example of this. Like let's say that you're at work, right? Let's say you have a work meeting and you're speaking, and maybe like one of your coworkers like interrupts you, right? But they're not doing it like maliciously. Maybe they're just like really excited to talk about whatever you guys are talking about, and they kind of cut in, those people who they don't do it on purpose. That's just kind of how they are. Not saying that you have to accept that, but anyway, follow me. So the person kind of cuts in on what you're saying and cuts you off a bit, and your pride or ego can be hurt by that. Now, if you humble yourself a little bit or come from a place of humility, you could think to yourself, okay, this person, they're just an excitable person. They're always like this. They're always like so anxious to talk or get their thoughts out. I'm just going to, address them after the meeting is over and tell them, hey, I don't like that you cut me off. Or, you could even in that moment just say, hey, like, I wasn't finished my thought, like very, very nicely, like in a very humble way, because this person didn't mean it maliciously, right? Now, if you are allowing this Leo full moon energy to like overtake you, you might feel your pride and ego hurt. Like, this person has the nerve to cut me off. And then you might end up like saying something to them like harsh, like, excuse me, does it look like I was done talking? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like saying something from a place of ego or pride immediately, and just making the whole situation awkward, hurting the person's feelings. They didn't maliciously try to cut you off. You know what I'm saying? All the rest of the coworkers looking like, what the hell? Now you have strained relationships at work. And then later on you look back on it and you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done it like that, because I know they weren't intentionally doing that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the best example I can think of off the top of my head right now. Just be mindful of like pride and ego, especially when you're communicating, especially if it's someone that you care about, someone that you love. Just be mindful of speaking from your ego being hurt, rather than humbling yourself, dropping, it into your heart space, and just speaking to them, because it could just end up ruining a connection, and it could just end up, later on you could just end up regretting it. Let's put it that way. So yeah, don't take any impulsive actions. Don't do anything from a place of ego. What else? I would say that's pretty much it. Be mindful of drama, like drama starting or attention seeking. If you're feeling, and that could go right along with the ego thing. Like if you're feeling like your ego is hurt, or somebody is like dismissing you, you feel like you're not being seen the way that you would like to be seen, like you could start to kind of act out, kind of like attention seeking or drama starting, because you want to be seen and validated. And that comes from a place of hurt as well. That's like when that goes along with what I was saying before about like exes. Like maybe your ex is just not paying attention to you, and that hurts your ego, right? Like when you break up with someone and they just seem like, oh, whatever, they're just moving on with their life, they're happy, they're fine. Like it just makes you feel small. It kind of like makes you feel like, wow, like I'm so easy to forget, I'm so easy to replace, like I'm not important to you. And that could spark you to do something to seek their attention out, like sending them a certain text, or like commenting on something of theirs on social media, or or just like picking an argument with them, like contacting them and picking an argument with them, because you want to be seen by them, you want to be validated by them. And the way that you're going about it is in a very like drama starting, attention seeking way, because of the Leo full moon energy. And that in itself is a wound. That is a wound in itself that is trying to come to the surface. In that case, there's a part of you that needs to be seen and loved and validated. And if you are in a situation like that with an ex, that's tough to navigate. And that kind of goes into the next section of what I wanted to talk about, because there was two messages that was coming through to me for the wounding, that's coming to the surface during this Leo full moon. And the two themes that were coming up was, the desire to be seen and validated, and then the fear of being seen. So I'm getting that some of you have both of these things within you, like simultaneously. So first, the desire to be seen and validated. I feel like for a lot of you, you want to be seen and validated in a certain area of your life. And then there's another area of your life where it's the opposite, where you're afraid of being seen and validated. And it's almost like it's like an off balance. It's like two opposite extremes, and it's an off balance. So, for example, some of you are like desire to be seen and validated within your relationships, and you're constantly being put in these situations where your partner is just not seeing you, your partner's not validating you, your partner's not making you feel special, your partner is like replacing you or degrading you. It's like you're constantly in these cycles of not being seen, and you want to be seen so bad, and you're willing to like fight to be seen in these relationships. And then there's this other aspect of you where it's almost like you fear being seen in another area of your life, like maybe it's your career. Some of you could be like, you're supposed to be a public figure of some sort, and I feel like you fear being seen by the public, or like you have some sort of talent where you're supposed to be seen, and I feel like you fear being seen. And yeah, that's something that could come to the surface this full moon. It's something that you should definitely address. I feel like there's inner child work that needs to be done, especially when it comes to the, sorry, full moons always like scramble my brain a little bit, especially when it comes to the relationships, like wanting to be seen and like fighting for that love in the relationships. That's definitely an inner child wound. That's something that develops during childhood when you're not seen and validated enough and loved unconditionally by your parental figures. That's where that wounding comes from, and it kind of just keeps spiraling on and on throughout your life, and it can actually get worse as you get older, because now you're getting into these relationships that are reinforcing that, these relationships with like narcissistic people, with people who are emotionally unavailable, dismissive, avoidance. It's like these are the type of people that they don't meet your emotional needs, and then when you break up they just move right on, or they just replace you immediately, or they just like they don't care that you're gone. And it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It has to do with their attachment style. It has to do with their narcissism. You see what I'm saying? Like, it has to do with their inability to form really deep connections because of their heart space being closed off. It says nothing about you, but because of your childhood wounds, and that those woundings surrounding being seen and validated and loved, it's very easy for you to internalize it and for that wound to be hit. So I feel like inner child work is definitely needed. And in terms of the fear of being seen, like I said before, I was getting a message about a lot of you being in the public eye, or like you're supposed to be in the public eye in some way. And you're not utilizing your gifts. You're not utilizing your talents. Because you're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of like the harsh criticism that comes with being in the public eye. It's just like you are afraid. And that can manifest in so many ways. Like that can manifest as procrastination. Like whenever you're about to, really broadcast your talent, suddenly you just have the urge to procrastinate. Suddenly you get distracted. Suddenly you start getting pulled into like dramatic situations that, you already thought you let those things go, but suddenly you have the desire to engage in like drama and things like that. It's like those are all things that can manifest as a result of your fear of being seen. It's like your brain is trying to distract you by any means from walking in your purpose, because there's a deep-rooted fear of doing so. So I feel like this full moon is shining a spotlight on that. And now I also have two Bible verses that I wanted to share. And for those of you who don't know, I'm not a Christian, but I do enjoy reading and studying the Bible and pulling spiritual wisdom from the Bible. And lately I have been using, what's it called, bibliomancy, more than I've been actually using tarot. And for those of you who don't know what bibliomancy is, it's basically when you take a book. It can be any book, I think, but I've mostly heard about it from using spiritual text. And when you take a spiritual text and you randomly, you ask it a question, and then you randomly open a page, and then whatever verse it lands on, like that's the message for you. So I've been really heavily into that, and just heavily like I said, reading the Bible, interpreting the Bible, just pulling a lot of wisdom from the Bible. So you're going to see me incorporate a lot of Bible verses on this channel, but I am not religious. I'm not a Christian. I'm still just spiritual. I guess you can call me a mystic. But the first Bible verse that I wanted to share, it's Matthew 5, verse 14. So it says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that you may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So, what I got from this verse, my interpretation of this verse, is that first off, the first sentence, you are the light of the world. Okay? A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That's literally talking about you. You have a light inside of you that's meant to shine, and you're meant to share it with other people. There are people who are going to benefit from you shining your light, whatever that light may be. Maybe you're meant to be a public speaker. Maybe you are an artist and you're meant to share your art. Maybe you're meant to be a YouTuber. It's like, it's so many things. It's so many like different avenues that you can take depending on who's listening to this. Like, you'll know what your special light or your special talent is, and you are supposed to be sharing it. You are the light of the world. The world needs your light. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. You can try to hide yourself away. You can try to, like, duck away from the public eye, but your purpose is always going to call to you. It's always going to call to you. And anything that you try to use as a distraction from your purpose, it's always going to be taken away from you. Like, anything that you are using, any unhealthy things that you're using as a distraction, or any distractions that are just trying to come into your life that are taking away from your purpose, they're going to keep on being taken and taken and taken away until finally all you have left is your purpose to focus on. See what I'm saying? So a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. It can't. Your light is too bright. It cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. So again, the metaphor of people lighting a lamp and putting it under a basket, that's what you're doing. You're a lamp, you're a light. You're trying to hide yourself away under a basket, like hide yourself away from the world. And no, that's not what people do with lamps. They put it on a stand so that it can shine a light and give light to all in the house. You are meant to bring light to people. Your purpose is bigger than just you. It's bigger than just your recognition. It's bigger than just your money. It's like, you're going to get paid and you're going to get recognized. Let's be clear. But it's bigger than that. There are so many people who need you to shine your light. Think about it. Think about the people who you have followed that have benefited your life. The YouTubers you follow, the influencers, the teachers, the gurus. Think about those people and how they have benefited you greatly and changed the trajectory of your life. Now think about how, if they were hiding themselves, how you would not have acquired the knowledge that they were sent to bring. You wouldn't have had the life changes that you had if not for them. If not for them shining their light. If they were hiding under a basket, like it says in the verse, you would have never been able to see them. You would have never been able to acquire the gifts, the light, the knowledge that they were meant to give. So you are that for someone. You just don't know it, or some of you know. I feel like you know it. You just fear it. And this Leo full moon is definitely shining a light on that and saying that your purpose is bigger than you. And so it's time for you to really start doing the work to overcome that fear. And it says, in the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So the way that I interpret that is, like I said before, your purpose is bigger than just you. It's way bigger than just you. And also, if you're someone who is afraid of being seen, one mindset shift that you can have that can help you with the fear of being seen is to focus on being of service. Because some of you are like, you're afraid of the spotlight. But once you turn your attention off of, oh my gosh, all these people are going to be watching me, and turn your attention on to, you know what, I want to be of service to a specific type of person, for a specific group of people, I feel like that'll kind of calm your nerves a little bit. Once you look at it from the angle of, I want to build community, I want to be of service, and it kind of takes away from that fear of being in the spotlight. Like, for example, there's a woman that I follow, and she feeds the homeless in LA. She's always on Skid Row, or is it in Skid Row? On Skid Row? Y'all know the area where there's like a lot of poverty and homelessness in LA. And she has a food truck, and she's there every day giving out food to people who are, less fortunate. And she gets a lot of followers, a lot. Like her social media is always blowing up because she documents, all of her charity. But you can tell that she really doesn't pay attention to how much the social media is blowing up because she's so engrossed in, is that the right word? Engrossed? She's so focused, like hyper focused on her mission and her purpose that you can tell that social media is just a tool for her to make more money for her community. She couldn't care less about the fame or like the eyes that are watching her. Like you can just tell she's not paying attention to how many people are watching her. And I feel like some of you can really benefit from that. It could really help you to turn your attention away from how many people are watching you and just turning it on to, I want to be of service, So, let me see what else. Yeah, that's what I have for that. I said I had another verse, but I can't find it. I want to do another verse about, hold on one second, y'all. Okay, there's a couple of verses that I can share about the first thing that I mentioned about childhood wounds or like not feeling seen or validated. Hold on, let me pause the recording really quick so I can pull it up because I don't want just for y'all to be listening to me just blank audio while I like just listening to me breathing while I look for the verse. So hold on one second. Okay, so I have a couple to share, right? And this is in reference to what I said before about some of you having childhood wounds where you feel just like unseen, unloved, unvalidated, especially in romantic partnerships. So the first one is a very common one. It's Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. I feel like a lot of people have heard this one. This one is my go-to, just as a reminder that when you are brokenhearted and your spirit feels crushed because of all the rejection and the abandonment, that God is right there near you. So that always brings me comfort to know that I am loved despite other humans abandoning me and rejecting me. God is right there and he still loves me unconditionally. Also, I really like Psalm 27, verse 10. For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in. And that one is extremely, extremely powerful because that one is literally saying that even if the two most important people in your life, your mother and your father, who are supposed to love you unconditionally, they're supposed to really accept you. Like by definition, a mother and father are supposed to be the ones that really genuinely deeply love you. And it causes a very deep spiritual wound. It causes a soul wound when they reject you, right? When they abandon you. And that's what usually causes the cycle of, relationships where other people are abandoning you and rejecting you. So it says, for my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in. So this is literally saying that even if your mother and your father have abandoned you, God is still going to be right there with you. And like I said, that to me is one of the most powerful verses that I keep close to me because I don't know, it's just there's so much strength behind that. Like even if your own mother and your own father reject you, God still loves you unconditionally. God still sees you as just so worthy and deserving of love. You always are loved unconditionally, always, no matter what. Like that is just extremely powerful to me. I don't know if y'all feel that, but to me it is, because that's saying a lot. Like, because I hear people say like, my own mother didn't love me, like I don't expect nobody else to, and that's unfortunate. And it's sad because that's how deep a soul wound can run when your own mother and father don't have the capacity to love you. So just that thought that you have a being that's even higher up than them that loves you unconditionally, it's like, it just is a reminder of how worthy you actually are, So, I just wanted to end this with another verse that I really love, and it's about fear, because we have been talking about fear, the fear of being seen and things of that sort. So this is 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. And it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Let me read that. "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." So whenever you are feeling that fear, just know that God did not give us that fear. That fear has been implanted in us by other humans, like making us feel limited, making us feel like we're not good enough, making us feel like we're not safe. Because that's another thing that comes with, the fear of being seen. It has a lot to do with you feeling like you're not safe. For me, my fear of being seen definitely came from the fact that, whenever I was seen, people were very harsh. They were very judgmental. They were even some, being envious would attack me out of envy. It's like, it was bad. Whenever I was seen, nothing good came from me being seen when I was younger. So that's where that fear came from. And so this verse is powerful to me because it's a reminder that other humans have instilled that fear in you, but God didn't give you that fear. God gave you the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. So whenever I do feel fearful, especially when it comes to walking in my purpose, I remind myself that God gave me the power to fulfill my purpose. God gave me the spirit of love, because love is always going to trump fear. And that's why I said it's good to focus on walking in your purpose and building your community and being of service, because your love for people and being of service to people is going to trump that fear of being seen. You see what I'm saying? So God gave us the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind, because a lot of the times, I'm going to say all of the time, our mind being so warped with fear, with fearful thoughts, that is what drives us towards destructive actions, or it drives us away from our purpose, So when it says God gave us a sound mind, I like to keep that in mind, so that when my thoughts do start to kind of spiral into negativity, or my thoughts try to drive me in the wrong direction, I always kind of center myself and think back, like, you know what? God did not give me those thoughts. God wants me to have peace of mind in order for me to be able to fulfill my mission. And then I pray about it, and I do my best to try to think as optimistically or as positively as possible. I try to clear my mind as much as I can to kind of remove myself from those destructive thoughts. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Whenever you are feeling fearful, just remember that God has not given us the spirit of fear. God has given us the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. And you could always turn to him for a reminder of that, to cast that fear out of you. So, yeah, I think that's it. There's a couple more verses that I have about fear, but I feel like I'll save them for like their own separate videos. Because I'm telling y'all, I've been really, really heavily into like studying the Bible, bibliomancy, and just getting intuitive downloads as I'm reading the Bible. And tarot, it's like I still do tarot to like supplement. Like if I need more clarity, I'll maybe pull a tarot card or two. But for the most part, like I've been heavily into like really interpreting and getting intuitive downloads from the Bible and other spiritual texts as well. So yeah, you're going to see a lot more of that. I need to do a whole video too about technomancy, because I've been into that as well. Technomancy is like a form of divination where you use technology. It's really, really interesting. I didn't even know I was doing it, and I've been doing it for months and months and months, and I didn't even know. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole video on that. So I hope that this was helpful. I love you guys a lot. I hope that you're able to practice self-care and really ground yourself this full moon. I know that the energy is always a little bit heavy. It's a little bit chaotic. And yeah, I really hope that this was helpful, and that you're able to, get through this full moon smoothly. Don't be fearful. Like, I never want to use astrology to predict anything that induces fear in people. If you feel like everything's fine, everything's going smooth for you, don't listen to this video and be like, oh my God, she said it's going to be crazy energy, and like you start expecting the chaos to come. Like, don't do that. If it's a smooth ride for you, let it be a smooth ride. This is just for people who, sometimes people who are more highly sensitive to full moon energy it can just have an effect on us. So this is for those people who are already feeling it. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.